We all love a legendary comeback, and Degree Original Cool Rush is back and better than ever. Cool Rush isn't just a scent, it's a movement, a fan favorite that delivers bold, fresh vibes and all-day sweat protection. Whether you have a man that spends hours in the gym, heads into the office early, or is just trying to stay fresh on a long day, Cool Rush has their back. Head to your local Walmart or Target and grab Degree Cool Rush, the fan favorite scent from the world's #1 antiperspirant brand.
Hey friends, this is Audie Cornish, host of CNN This Morning and The Assignment, and guess what? Every story you care about, every angle you want unpacked is now streaming on CNN. That means you can catch my show or other CNN programming whenever you want on your favorite device. And a subscription also gets you access to exclusive video series and unlimited articles. So subscribe to CNN at cnn.com/subscription.
This episode has been brought to you by the Manhattan Toy Company. Do you lament the fact that your kids have way too many toys strewn all over the house, only to have lost interest in many of them because they haven't forged any real attachment? Velveteen Rabbit syndrome is real, and I think it's up to us as parents and caretakers to teach our children how fun it can be to use toys as a tool to spark their imagination and curiosity. No overstimulating lights, sounds, or gadgets needed. I have partnered with Manhattan Toy Company, which was founded in 1978 and has stood the test of time because there's something so special and scientifically proven about toys that are thoughtfully crafted to promote the right challenge at the right time, from teething to gross and fine motor skills to social emotional learning and pretend play. My youngest son loved his wooden baby beads, which worked on his motor skill development like grasping, shaking, and reaching when he was first learning to crawl. My toddler daughter adores the Playdate Friends collection. I smile when I see how nurturing of a person she is when she's pretending to feed her doll in a booster chair or take her for a walk in a stroller. And it helps that it's machine washable too. My other son and daughter's twin enjoys the Making Faces magnet set, where he can manipulate the faces to have glasses or feel glad, sad, or mad to mirror how he's feeling. Save 20% on your next purchase using the search term MomSense when you visit the website manhattantoy.com to redeem your unique 20% off code. You and your kids will fall in love with this brand, just as we have.
Hi, it's Farnoosh Torabi, financial expert and host of the So Money podcast, and I had an incredible experience on That's Total Mom Sense. Kanika is an ace interviewer.
Hi, it's Kanika, and I'm back with a brand new season of That's Total Mom Sense, where I interview parenting experts, world-renowned thought leaders, best-selling authors, and trailblazing entrepreneurs on their incredible life stories and mom sense experiences.
Hi, I'm Gabby Bernstein, and you're listening to me on That's Total Mom Sense.
It's me, Bobby Brown, on Total Mom Sense. Can't wait to share my story.
Hi, I'm Dr. Lisa, and you're listening to me on That's Total Mom Sense.
Pandemic or not, these episodes will inspire you to make every single day count. Episodes release on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Join my tribe and subscribe wherever you listen so you never miss an episode.
What's more relevant to people's lives than money? You know, money is also something that we don't like to talk about. In my family, the opposite. We love talking about money. So I think they also set me up for my career in that way too, is that I approached money without any fear, or I always just curiosity, because we're not raised versus men. We're not raised with this assumption that we're going to like manage money or be good at money or make money.
Right.
You know, so we need to coach ourselves into knowing that we can do this and that this is definitely our domain, within our domain.
As moms, we often wonder, am I doing enough for my kids? I'm here to tell you, you are super mama. That's because we have an undeniable superpower, our intuition, and it never steers us wrong. I call it our mom sense. Hi, I'm Kanika Chadda Gupta, and I'm the host of That's Total Mom Sense. I'm a journalist, entrepreneur, wife, and mom of 3, twins plus 1. Now, if I had $1 every time I heard, gee, you have your hands full. On my podcast, I interview influential moms from various industries and cover topics that all first-time parents grapple with, from getting your baby to sleep to screen time allowance, your new normal in your marriage, and how to dedicate time to yourself. Learn and laugh along with That's Total Mom Sense. So today's interview is one that's very, very close to my heart and couldn't be more timely. It's about financial independence and how, as women, we should understand what that means, and it's never too early to start. Today, I'm joined by Farnoosh Torabi, who is one of America's leading personal finance authorities, hooked on helping you live your richest, happiest life. As contributing editor to Oprah Magazine and NextAdvisor, host of a primetime series for CNBC, and creator of the Webby-nominated podcast, So Money, Farnoosh has become our favorite go-to money expert and financial friend. The New York Times calls her advice perfectly practical. Farnoosh's award-winning and critically acclaimed podcast, So Money, has surpassed 17 million downloads with listeners in over 200 countries, thanks to its one-of-a-kind interviews and deep conversations about money. On the show, she spotlights leading experts, authors, and influencers from Ariana Huffington to Margaret Cho, Queen Latifah, and Tim Gunn about their financial perspectives, money failures, and habits. She also answers listeners' personal financial questions each week. She is a mom of two, settled in New Jersey. Farnoosh, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Kanika. It's so nice to join you on your podcast.
Absolutely. Well, you had so much to do with the scaling of this podcast. I was the little engine that could when I launched it in 2019. And I want to give a testimonial to you. I'm so thankful to have met you and taken your course that you have along with Jacqueline Malone called Pays to Podcast. I was just so enlightened by the strategy and the science that goes into podcasting. It's not just this new media phenomenon that cropped up this year. There's so much more to it. And you've been doing this a very, very long time. So you've helped me and have helped me kind of secure the brands that I want to align with and procure the guests that I want to bring on the show. You've taught me kind of the methods in order to do that successfully. And I'm just so thankful to have you in my corner.
Oh my gosh, thank you. Well, a secret to running a successful program is only involving the program with students who are going to be successful that you just know so that later you can take credit for it, but you are going to be successful with or without me. And it's so wonderful to see everything that you've built and so deserved.
Thank you. I'm so touched. Thanks. Okay, so podcasting is a phenomenon because you were an early adopter and pioneer, and when we look at the stats from this year alone, in 2020 and pandemic life, we went from seeing 700K podcasts to over 1.7 million out there. So, what was it like when you first launched? And, how have you kind of stood the test of time?
Well, but it is interesting to see where the numbers have gone. And when I started producing the show for the first time, before we launched in January of 2015, I took about a 4 to 6 month period to get all my ducks in a row. There's a lot of moving parts, as you know, to launching a podcast. And then, even back then, I felt I was really late to the game. Better to have started in 2015 in some ways than now. Certainly a more crowded platform. But I remember just seeing, at least this is my experience, I just saw a lot of men hosting podcasts and in the personal finance space. And this is something that I've been working in personal finance. Now it's been 20 years. And as a self-employed person in this space, it's always my challenge and opportunity to find my next project. No one is coming to me with the next project. I have to identify it. And for years up to the podcast, those projects largely consisted of things like books and television series. I maintained a blog and all sorts of different multi-platform. I hadn't yet really sunk my teeth into an audio platform. And I saw podcasts really becoming the go-to platform for a lot of men in my industry. I tell every woman, you got to go where the men are because they know what's up. I went to a work event and this is right after I had a baby. Not right after, but probably 3 months after I had my first son. I was ready to kind of get back into my career. And so I went to this annual conference that's for creators in the personal finance space. And at one of the cocktail events, I noticed like some guys like huddling in a corner, and I knew they were all podcasters. So I warmed myself up to them and got all the deets.
Wow.
And I was like, tell me everything. And after the conference, I got on the phone with a couple of them, and they were very generous, and they told me everything. And they were also learning, as they were going. But I felt like me trying to Google search my way to do this was not really practical or quick. So I was so grateful to get these gentlemen on the phone and even at the conference to spill some of the deets. And they were monetizing and they were building their brands. And I was like, you know what? I was a news producer. I know how to create shows. I know the media. I think I got this from a technical standpoint. And now my challenge is to find a hook for a show about money that can feel really me, but also really is serving the audience. And so what is that topic or what is that theme within the personal finance space that can really serve well through the medium of audio, where you can really get into it and you can do it a lot. That's the thing.
Yes.
You got to make sure that you can stick with it. So whether you're a creator in the podcast space, videos, blogs, the key is consistency.
Yeah.
And, it's a bit of a leap of faith. You think you like something and then you start doing it and you're like, this is not actually my cup of tea.
Right.
But I got lucky there. And I definitely really fell in love with the format of the show. But at the same time, always, as they say, nothing was written in ink. Everything was written in pencil. I was giving myself permission to change the rules along the way. I went from 7 days a week, crazy, to 5, and then eventually to 3. And then I sometimes changed the way that I would do the show. So the traditional format of the show is talking to everyday people about their money. But sometimes, depending on what was happening in the news, I really wanted to talk about the stimulus, or really wanted to talk about, equal pay day or something like that. And so would bring in an expert to talk about something more topical, which was, anti-thematic for me, but I felt like I'm going to go there because it's still kind of in my wheelhouse. And like I did a whole series on Black Wealth Matters last summer. I just dedicated the entire month of June to talking to Black leaders in all different industries about their journey to, navigating through all their money issues. So I give myself permission to go where I feel like the audience is and not be like bound by the parameters that I created 6 years ago, because that's, I don't think that's how you grow. There's a lot of overthinking that goes on in a creative space.
Yeah.
And I can appreciate that. I think we're all hardworking and we want to get it right. But the shortcut is really to listen to your audience and do what they tell you. And I get the opportunity to hear from my audience a lot. And I solicit them, tell me your questions. And every Friday we address their most burning money questions. And you better believe that after a while, I start to have like a running idea of what my audience cares about, or what is what is the moment's issue that everybody is struggling with. And that can often inform what comes next on the show. So, giving your audience the space to reach out to you and do that easily is not only great for them, they feel more connected to you and more like, paid attention to, but for as the host, what a gold mine of ideas.
That's great. I love that. Now let's start with your background and your childhood, which I feel like will definitely resonate with a lot of the immigrant families out there. So let's start from the beginning.
Oh my gosh. How much earlier do you want to go in? I'm actually writing a lot about my childhood. I'm trying to write a book about the idiosyncrasies of growing up in a Persian American family. And I was raised very scared, very afraid all of the time, looking over my shoulder, never trusting anybody who wasn't in my immediate circle. Yeah. And I think that set me up for actually a lot of success as an adult woman living in a scary world, which is the United States of America. My parents are immigrants. They came here in the late 70s, more or less to escape the craziness that was happening in Iran with the there was a bit of a
Khomeini.
civil uproar. There was civil unrest. There was the war with Iraq. And so there was a lot that they just felt was not promising for them. And my dad was here getting his PhD in physics, and they got lucky in that an employer offered my dad a temporary visa, and that turned into citizenship. And, it just really, he would always say to me as a kid, like, you have no idea how lucky you are. And I'd be like, yeah, whatever, Dad. But really it was a roll of the dice, and it's sobering to remember that, because you're like, the life that I have today, it comes down to one guy who, saw something in my father and was like, I want to keep your family here. I have the ability to do that. Come work at my company. I will sponsor your visa. Because they had no other, it was either that or go back to Iran.
Right.
So it's like your life is sometimes decided by these moments, right? Or these split decisions, or these people. Like, you actually have the ability to change someone's life. So growing up Iranian in Worcester, Massachusetts, which the New York Times calls nobody's first choice.
I've been there because I went to school in Boston.
Yeah. Nobody's first choice. I thought it was lovely when I lived there, I had a lovely childhood, minus the fear mongering that my parents installed. But I was the only child for many years. When I was 11, my brother was born. And so I feel like I have this, and this is such good exercise for me to be talking about this with you, because I feel like it's going to give me good writing juice.
Fodder for your book. Yes.
So, I grew up very independent, and then all of a sudden very much responsible for someone. Like, my brother was very much someone I took care of. And I think it prepared me for parenting and parenthood and all the babysitting jobs that I had in between. All the moms were like, you're really good at this. I'm like, yeah, I've been changing diapers since I was 10 and a half.
Amazing.
And so thanks, Todd. He's now turned 30 this year. Crazy, but always just interested in helping people too. Like, kind of going back to the career stuff is, if someone asks, like, did you ever imagine be doing what? No one ever thinks they're going to be a financial podcaster when they're, 7 years old in the 80s. But I think I always wanted to be in service and helping people. I think that's why I pursued journalism first, parlayed that into financial journalism, because again, what's more relevant to people's lives than money? Money is also something that we don't like to talk about. In my family, the opposite. We love talking about money. So I think they also set me up for my career in that way too, is that I approached money without any fear, or I always just curiosity.
Right. That's so cool. I love that your parents kind of put it out all on the table and wanted you to have
the good
these
and the bad,
discussions.
though,
Yeah, exactly. When money's tight, kids can know that.
Yeah. And I knew that. And I knew that when my mom and dad didn't agree over money, they would fight about it. And that taught me the importance of, as a woman, the importance of having your own financial stash, your own income stability in any partnership. It's so important. I see it. It's why I think I'm so passionate still today, because a lot of things haven't changed from the 80s and the 50s, frankly, in terms of the traditional gender roles that couples play in a marriage when it comes to money. And that, I think, is just dangerous, frankly, whether you're the man who's not working and not making money and doesn't know, and that is the reality for a lot of dads and husbands. It's not progress when it's just the woman making all the money and making all the financial decisions, and the husband is in the dark. I've seen that. It's, ideal when everybody's informed and everybody feels a degree of independence in the marriage, financially and otherwise. And so our work is still not done in that department. And that's, for me, it keeps me really busy.
Yeah. I just wanted to shed light on an anecdote that you share on your website. You said that at 22, you were $30K in debt. So what was it that lit a fire under your ass that you were like, okay, I have to pay this off?
You're right. It wasn't the six figures that we often read the headlines of over, it's not impossible to graduate from college today with very high 5 figures in debt or more. And I think what triggered me to take control of that was, two things. One, my mom, I remember she called me up one day. This was when I was first sort of on my own. And Ted said to me, "You'll never believe what your aunt told me." It's like gossip. And I said, "What?" She goes, "Well, your cousin, her son, is in severe credit card debt, and they had to bail him out. And it was like 30 or 80,000. I can't remember the number, but it was a lot. It was like 30,000 or $80,000. I was like, how does someone, and she said to me, without knowing where I was in my financial life, she pretty much put the fear of God in me. And she was like, that better never happen to you. We would never be able to bail you out. We're, et cetera, et cetera. And, so then, my mother put the fear of God in me, as she normally did. But it was also knowing that I wanted to have this career where I was helping people with their money. So I had to take care of my business.
Yes.
I couldn't be like telling people to pay down their credit card debt if I wasn't following my own advice.
Right.
And so I felt like I needed to work on myself first before I could really go out there and be the leader that I wanted to be for people. And, that was really motivating. And, to be honest, I love to work. I've always had multiple jobs, even in high school and college and to this day. And I remember in my early 20s when I had all that debt and I was working full time, I had other jobs. I was babysitting, I was pet sitting, I wrote for the local paper, got, a couple $100 a week on writing, little articles. Then I got a book deal because I was working on all these content pieces. And as soon as I got my first advance check, I paid off the remainder of my student loan debt entirely. And so I had the benefit of that, of that lump sum, which I know not a lot of people have. And so, yes, it was emotionally motivated, but also I got the money that I needed through the work.
Right.
Also
wow.
helpful.
And, you've authored several books. Your first was You're So Money, Live Rich Even When You're Not.
Yeah, that came out in 2008, right as the recession was kicking off. It was a weird time to be coming out with a book about money. On the one hand, everybody needed to learn about money, but also nobody had a job. So it was, it was like nobody wanted to buy a book. But it was, for me, an opportunity to really establish what my purpose was in this world of personal finance, which at the time was really to help young people, my peers. I definitely saw a void in the marketplace where a lot of the advice was tailored to retirees or people who were approaching retirement, and or maybe people our parents' ages, but not much for the 20-something cohort and very underserved market. So that book really was one of the first to call that out and provide a Bible for that generation, to also meet them where they were at. It wasn't going to be just the same advice we would give our parents with a different title and an edgier, font. It was, we really have to understand that this generation, they have different goals and they have different timelines for achieving those goals, and they want different things, and they maybe don't want to buy a house, or they do. So it was really being cognizant of that zeitgeist. And it really just established my brand and my career and everything. It was, I credit that book for so much. And actually, Real Simple, now it's been, oh my gosh, more than 10 years. In 2021, Real Simple came out with a list of like the best money books. And my book was number one on their list. And I was like, oh my God, blast from the past.
Yes.
Because there have been now like a million money books written, and the editors of Real Simple, like, I bow to you. That was just such a nice, it's a reminder to everybody when you're working on something and you're thinking, why am I doing this? Especially like a book that's just such a, takes so much out of you. I'm a big fan of books. I think if you've got a book in you, do it. It's such you're leaving such a legacy. And it's the sort of thing that, 10 years from now, you can still reference, you can hold it in your hand. Real Simple will call it out. There are a lot of special moments that await.
Yes, absolutely. And I love that you tailored it for that generation, because that was the phase of life that you were in. And I mean, I've seen it myself. I have a sister who's 7 years younger, and she's one who will very openly say, like, don't really need the car. I would rather have a trip. And it's more about the experiences for them than the fixed assets. So yeah, that's really cool. Now, moving on to your next phase of life, you shared how you got married, you became a mom twice, and you wrote, Psych Yourself Rich, get the mindset and discipline you need to build your financial life.
it's for everybody, but always, I think women are more likely to flock to my stuff. But that book was really about getting to the emotions that we have about money, less about like how to get out of debt, but really how to get the mindset to want to get out of debt and to continue the journey, because it's, there's going to be a lot of hurdles. And so how to really have the emotional intelligence and the emotional strength to work your way through your financial goals. And it was really born out of, at that point, I'd had a number of experiences helping people, individuals, one-on-one, coaching them through my television work and other formats, that I recognized that, I would go there with like budgeting worksheets and they just wanted to talk about their moms or, the fact that they hated their boyfriends or that they had low self-esteem. And then I was like, oh, okay, so there's some pre-work here that we have to do.
Yes.
This episode is brought to you by Marqeta. When it comes to your payments provider, you can't afford to compromise. Marqeta's modern payment solutions flex with your business without the trade-offs. Stable and agile, secure and innovative, scalable and configurable. If they say you can't have it all, don't believe them. Your business demands more. Choose a payments provider that delivers more. Choose Marqeta. Visit marqeta.com/Spotify to learn more.
A message from McAfee. Wondering why the post office is texting you or why you owe thousands of dollars in toll fees? Because someone's trying to scam you. The good news? McAfee can help. With McAfee's award-winning scam detection, it's easy to tell what's real and what's fake over text, in your inbox, and online. If they're
You want a free gift.
Seriously? If they're faking it, they're not making it past us. Get award-winning scam detection today. McAfee.com/keepitreal.
Since then, and at the time the book came out, there had been some incredible breakthroughs in the field of behavioral finance. So we always thought that money is very rational and humans make rational money choices. Is the opposite. We're very irrational when it comes to things like investing and making quote unquote sound money decisions. And so there was a lot of science to help me write that book as well. So it was a combination of like anecdote storytelling, but also pulling from the research.
Yes. And what are some of your, tips, tangible takeaways that you could provide to like women specifically on achieving that financial independence?
My gosh. I mean, I always say that the numbers never lie. And, there's so much data out there that highlights how powerful women can be when they are given a financial chance. Don't ever underestimate yourself. And I'll point to a few of those statistics. One is, for example, that women entrepreneurs, although we get such a little amount of the venture capital that's out there, we get like 0.00006% of the pie. And for every venture capital dollar that women get, they are able to 2x that. They're better for the money. They're like men versus
better
men.
ROI.
So the ROI is 2x.
Wow.
Versus what men can produce. And then you look at philanthropy. I always say when women make more, the world becomes a better place. It's because when you look at giving statistics, regardless, like, okay, women make less than men, but across all income levels, as a percentage of their income, women give more than men. And then women are better investors. That's scores of studies that have found this, from Fidelity to other places, that long-term portfolios led by women, directed by women, outperform male portfolios. So
amazing.
It's like, I can sit here and tell you that the world can be a better place if you just work harder and save more. And it's true. It's not just hyperbole. Like you have more potential than you might think. So I see a lot of underestimating happening, and I don't fault women for that, because society often will try to convince you that,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And prioritize yourself. I think that's really important. Like, invest in yourself. And I also want to send out the message that you have to know your why behind your financial goal setting. So, I mean, some people can just get out of debt because they want to get out of debt. There's not really a lot of, they don't need a lot of meaning behind that, but I think for me, I need to know what is the what is the payoff? Why am I doing this? Because it's going to keep me motivated. We know that it's really hard for us to stay on course when we're trying to get out of debt or save or invest or any of the things. So knowing very deeply why you want to do the thing that you want to do with money is important to establish in the beginning. And everyone has a different why. And I'm not going to judge you if you're like, if my why is, well, I just want to be able to buy more things. Good. Then let that be your why. Or if your why is I want to, buy a house, or I want to quit my job, or I want to, have a big wedding. Good for you. But, I think it's important to anchor it to something that's important to you. And that's a behavioral strategy that works for a lot of people. And I think for women too, because we're not raised versus men. We're not raised with this assumption that we're going to like manage money or be good at money or make money.
Right.
So we need to coach ourselves into knowing that we can do this and that this is definitely our domain, within our domain.
Right. Absolutely. What are your thoughts on the gender pay gap, and when do you think we're going to be able to remediate it?
Oh, I don't know. I think, I mean, there's a lot of optimistic people out there who say like in 40 years, in 20 years, it's not going to happen this year. That's for sure. I think that like any movement that begins within a certain group. So if you think about like gay rights, right? For years, for decades, for generations, we had been trying to convince people that like gay rights is civil rights and it's human rights. But it wasn't really until the branding changed and the messaging changed to like, this is family rights. And this is that everybody was like, oh, so this does matter to me, even though I'm not gay.
Right.
And we saw a seismic change and a rapid change in the adoption and support behind LGBTQ rights. We have a long way to go still in that department, but I think, a lot of people have commented on sort of the rapid adoption all of a sudden. Like it wasn't just one day people just woke up and realized this was important. I think that they started to shift the messaging a little bit to broaden the messaging and remind people that this is not beneficial to just exclusively gay people. Like to give gay people rights is not exclusively beneficial to gay people. It's society benefits. Everybody's happier. Children can grow up with two loving parents who happen to be two men, but you know what? That's like, it's a win-win for everybody. And same with women's issues. I feel like we've been exclusively asking women, what do you want? We've been exclusively seeing women show up at the parades. We've exclusively been seeing women, behind the marketing. Where are the men? And I think that is where I'd like to see the branding shift and the messaging shift to say that this is not a women's issue. This is a global crisis. And if we don't all get on board, we all lose out, because I just gave you all those statistics. It's not just a win for women when the world becomes a better place for everybody.
Yes, so true. I want to play a little devil's advocate here, because I'm thinking of, the corporations who aren't really are kind of feeding into what this gap is. So when they see a woman, they know that if she's in her 30s, mid 30s or so, she's probably going to go on maternity leave. Who's picking up the slack for her during that year? Let's say she's in the C-suite, kind of position. So then it becomes the team's responsibility to pick up that slack. So that's something that I feel like they're thinking inherently, and that's why women get kind of short.
That's bad business, Kanika. That's a bad business strategy to think like so short term. There's an expectation that you're going to be profitable every quarter. We measure businesses' success in short increments. We don't look at like the 10-year growth. We look at the 3 months previous. And I think that, when you are a publicly traded company and you answer to shareholders, that I can see where you get nervous about losing talent and having to, pay for that. But I think that it's a very short-sighted way to approach your leadership and your company. And mean, there are now data points that show the impactful role that women play at companies, that the companies that nurture their female talent that they help them matriculate, that they give them enough time off, and not just the women, but the men too.
The men need it too. I know.
Need it too.
Yeah, exactly. They
You know,
should have
so
the same
it's
amount
just,
of
it should be
paternity leave to
baked
be there
in.
with their
It's a
child.
cost of business, you know, just like, you know, I see the UPS trucks double parked where they're not supposed to. They don't care about getting a ticket. They've already baked that in.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, they'll get the ticket.
Yeah, it's about the efficiency.
Their
So
boss
they're
has
like,
already
screw
baked
it.
it in. So
Yeah.
like bake it in, you know, like this is important. You know, like a UPS truck has to park to get the job done.
Right.
And, you know, if you want to hire top female talent who want to have children, like, you know, you have to make room for that.
Yes. Yes. Your latest book is When She Makes More. And I love it. I think there's really great nuggets in there, whether you make more or not. And I wanted to highlight a page 107, where you say to cater to the male brain, and you talk about the big three. If there's one reality that every breadwinning woman has to live with daily, it's the triumvirate forces of sex, money, and power. How do we tackle this big three?
Not all of those plates are going to be, you know, twirling around at the same time. I think that sometimes you're going to feel more sexy than powerful, and more rich than powerful, and more powerful than sexy. I mean, you know, but we you know, we're ambitious. We want all of those things. Right. I think in the context of marriage, it's really important to communicate with your partner on all of those fronts. And those are taboo topics, you know, money, sex, power. It's like, really, do we really want to have this conversation after like putting the kids to bed and you just want to like watch Netflix?
Right.
But I think that you got to make time for it. And it doesn't have to be this like next Thursday at 8:00, we're going to have this conversation. But my husband and I talk to each other all the time on text during the day, and we send each other articles. I think that's a great icebreaker is like, you know, we send each other like all sorts of things that we're reading. Because one, it's a way for us to stay involved in each other's lives, you know? So like a dinner, I don't have to ask him how his day was. I can be like, so that article you sent me, it was really weird, you know?
Right. You have a talking point. Totally.
We have a talking point. We have something to jump off of. And so you know, I guess all this to say that, it's enough to just have it in the back of your mind and to be conscious of it. And once in a while, you know, if you feel like some things are falling off the cliff, that you address it.
Yeah, no, so true. You know, I actually was contemplating buying the piggy banks that are share,
spend, save, donate.
Donate.
Money Savvy Pig. It's my really good friend, Susan Beecham's company. She started over 20 years ago. Yeah, that's my very first published story in Money Magazine when I was like 20 years old, was profiling her. She put me on the map. She was teaching, she runs a financial literacy company for kids, and it's great. And she's taught me so much. I mean, her kids are in their 20s now. And so she's been such a mentor to me, and her kids are doing really great. And, you know, her biggest advice that now I give to everybody is to make it really engaging, you know? So it's not about like talking to them about compound interest, although that serves a purpose. Mm-hmm. It's really about letting them into your world. So my mom used to do this, you know, when we'd go to the department store and she'd pay off her store credit card. I was like, what's going on? And she would tell me. Or we go to get layaway at TJ Maxx. What's this? Like, how does this work? And she would tell me. And so, you know, bringing a checklist to the grocery store, my daughter and I put a checklist together the other day, and she went and like felt so proud to like pick things out. And, you know, of course, she doesn't know what things cost, and we're not doing a calculation. She's 4, but she's realizing that, you know, there's a conscious effort to, like, you're not just spending aimlessly. You're going with a point, with list, and some things you don't get because we have, quote unquote, enough of that, or, you know,
like an inventory.
Yeah. Finish what we have before we buy more. So, you know, little things like that. Of course, they have piggy banks, but I think once they get older, the big thing I want to really insist upon is getting jobs. I think it's, you know, whether it's newspaper route or babysitting or a lemonade, like they all want to do a lemonade stand.
Yeah, I know. That's the first, you know, just entrepreneurial venture for a kid.
That is great. Like turning an idea into a business, and then that sense of earning is like so special.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. And then there's so much you can teach. It's like, the cost of goods sold. And it's like, we've got lemons and sugar. And so whatever your profit is, you don't make, you have to like account for that.
Take that out of the, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, some kids, my son is 6.5. Some parents can also start teaching investing if they really want to. Like I told my son the other day, I'm like, you don't have to just eat at Shake Shack. You can buy a piece of the company. And he was like, he kind of looked at me like, what are you talking about? So too soon for him, I think. But it is something that tweens, I think, can really get.
Yes. Yes. Very cool. I definitely want you to humor us with your Persian mom persona.
Oh my God.
Which you have done on Insta. It's like brilliant. Oh my gosh.
Oh my God. There's like a trick to the Persian mom accent. First, you curl your lips and then you turn every W into a V. My mom, like I said, she raised me to always be frightful. And to her, like the world was filled with like goblins and rapists. And anytime I ever wanted to do something that was a little risque, she immediately went to the R word, which was like, you're going to get raped. You're going to like get kidnapped. You're going to get abducted. And so every little thing like, hey, mom, can I like manage my unibrow situation so that I don't lose all my friends in 6th grade? And she'd be like, "Va, you want to get raped?" I'd say, "Mom, can I go ice skating with my friends?" Because we live in Massachusetts and that's like sort of something that you might want to do in your adolescence once or twice. And she's like, "Ice skating, just kill yourself. Just kill yourself. Like just do the deed." Farnoosh, you be careful. They work in teams. They work in teams. That's what she told me. Like every time I'll tell her, like I told her a really cute story about my son who at the time was like 5 and he was sitting on a park bench and I was looking at him from like 3 yards away. And this other little boy came over to him. They had been playing. The other little boy was a little bit older. And I guess they got into a little bit of a disagreement. And the older boy came over and like put his arm around my son. And I thought it was such a cute moment. I was like, oh my God, they're dealing with their differences. I don't even have to get involved. This is super cute. And the older kid was being such a nice role model. And I'm telling my mom this on the phone and she was like, be careful. They work in teams. Okay. So translation, my mother was like, this boy was a pawn to take my son
to kidnap
the van.
Yeah.
Like a child pornography ring or something.
Oh my goodness.
She's not wrong,
Right.
Like, I mean,
yeah, exactly. I know. Yeah. You definitely have to have one eye at the back of your head for sure.
Yeah. And then like one time I told her, remember Bolt Bus? It was like $1.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. That's how we get back and forth.
Yeah. And I was like, Mom, check it out. My husband and I, we dated semi long distance. He was in Philly and I was in New York. And so we would see each other every weekend. So we were always like trying to game Amtrak or like Greyhound to get the best, lowest price for that weekend's transportation. And we found Bolt Bus. It was like $1. And she was like, $1? That's murderer bus. And my husband laughs to this day. He's like, what did she mean by murderer bus? Like literally everybody on that bus is carrying like a chainsaw.
The driver's going to go rogue and kill everybody.
Like everyone has like a different weapon, like, and where are they going? Where'd they come from?
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Oh, I have to meet her.
I'm like, also because murderers only have $1 to spare for their bus ride.
And they just really like going back and forth in New York and Philly. It's like, weekends.
That's murder bus.
Wow, what a riot. Oh my goodness. I want to end with 2 last questions. One is your mom sense moment. So is there a moment where you just like kind of blindly trusted that built-in 6th sense we have, our mom sense, when it came to your kids?
My son recently, this was last summer, he bumped his toe on a piece of furniture and then a few days later it got infected. And I just like went super mom because I knew that infections, you got to act fast. And it was like the pandemic, like all the things. So I took him to the emergency room and thank God I did because I had gone through it years ago and didn't address it. And then I was like on crutches and, I almost had to go to the hospital and all that because the infection can get really bad. Mm-hmm. And so I just got really scared for him and I immediately took him to the hospital and got him the treatment he needed. And we had to stay overnight. And then they wanted me to stay an extra night. And that's when I called BS because I was like, you're just trying to make money off me. It really, and I was like, give me a good reason. Can I just take him home? He's had 6 rounds of this IV. Like, I don't think he needs one more, because one more night in the hospital would have been like $3,000.
Yes. Oh my goodness. I'm so glad you called that out.
Let's not forget our quote of the day.
Is there a quote that you live by?
You don't get what you deserve. You get what you negotiate. Ooh. You know, it would be nice if we got what we deserve, but that's just not the world that we live in. It
doesn't work out that way.
And until we live in paradise, I have to negotiate for myself. And I think it's good to practice that and know that that's your responsibility.
It's now time for Mom Haul, when we share products we love.
Is there a product or an app or anything like that you are loving right now that's been a game changer for you?
Game changer. Well, I really like Personal Capital. I don't have a relationship with them. I just really like it, mainly just for the net worth, calculation that they do. You can hook up all your accounts, and you can even like get your home Zillow estimated on there, so you can get a sense of what your equity is to add to your home, to your net worth and all of that. And I think that especially since the last year has been very volatile financially, first half of last year was very, very volatile, that I always wanted reassurance that, maybe like what one checking account says isn't really the totality of your financial life. So don't obsess over like the one checking account that you have, because I have a few checking accounts. And, so it's been really good for me to I always say it's important to check in with your money. Don't check your investments every day, but check your money situation, check your credit cards, your bank balances, and you can do it all on Personal Capital without having to log into a zillion sites. And I'm remodeling our home a little bit, sprucing up some of the areas and replacing furniture and selling stuff on Facebook Marketplace, which has been a really great way to do it, but then also buying more furniture to replace the other stuff. And I've really been liking First Dibs, which I haven't actually bought anything on there, but it's great for inspiration. It's really expensive stuff. It's old, antique-y, or like collectible things from like art to shoes to tables to lamps. And sometimes you can find really great deals. But I mean, this is also the site that sells like 6-figure.
Right, like Murano glass.
Purses. Yeah, like it's crazy. But I've actually discovered artists on there and then contacted them directly, because I know First Dibs takes a cut.
Yeah.
And that way, they give me a little bit less of a price, but then they get to keep most of the money.
Exactly.
All of the money, because so
yeah, there's no third party. That's nice.
Don't tell First Dibs.
I know. A nice little hack there. Awesome. Tell us where we can find you.
Yeah. So you can find me at somanypodcasts.com. And I love Instagram. I have all the social media handles, but I think Instagram is where I like to hang out the most. And I'm at Farnoosh Torabi there.
Amazing. Farnoosh, you are a light. Oh my gosh, this conversation was so money. I love that we got into all the things. And again, I'm so thankful to have you as a friend and mentor and all the things. So thank you for your time.
My honor. Thanks.
When we think of April, we think of April showers and tax season. I wanted to make sure that this episode with Farnoosh Torabi aired during this time when we're all doing our accounting and really evaluating our finances in earnest. As I mentioned in the beginning of the show, Farnoosh is a powerhouse as a financial journalist and podcaster, and I just want to plug her podcast accelerator course where you can build, leverage, and grow your podcast. The website is accelerator.somanypodcast.com. I took her course, which she taught alongside Jacqueline Malone, and that was called Pays to Podcast. And even though I am a journalist as well, I learned so much, and I can't thank Farnoosh and Jacqueline enough for what they taught me. To learn more about Farnoosh, you can log on to her website, podcast.farnoosh, FARNOOSH.TV. Farnoosh, thank you again for being a wonderful friend and advisor to me. I can't thank you enough.
Tune in to other podcast episodes and browse my YouTube videos where I'm repurposing my Zoom interviews. And you can just find them by searching Kanika Chadda Gupta on YouTube. I also have the audio embedded on my website, and that's totalmomsense.com. And of course, I am available on all the usual suspects: Apple, Spotify, Stitcher, Good Pods, and Google Podcasts, which I found to be a great aggregator. How did this episode help you? Do you feel reinvigorated to assess your personal finances? Whatever it may be, I'd love to hear your feedback. Email me at thatstotalmomsense@gmail.com. Remember, always trust your mom sense. Stay strong, Supermamas. See you next time.
That's Total Mom Sense.